Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the final episode, only for today, of the September 10th Dan-A-Plooza. My guest at this time is author and playwright Anne Gefellers Mason.
Hi.
We are so happy to have you here. How have you been doing?
Well, I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And I've been, probably pretty good, all things considering, hanging in there, writing when I can.
Exactly. Um, were there any kind of challenges for you as an author and a playwright during this quarantine pandemic time?
Yeah, we did actually so the company I usually publish through, Mountain Gap Books, we did actually put out a call to authors and put out a collection of like short stories and poems and like essays that people wrote in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I have a piece in there. So I mean that's art that directly came out of the pandemic, which is cool. But definitely like we had events where we were going to go and sell our books, which were canceled, and some of those still haven't really come back. And getting out there and promoting yourself is difficult when you're told don't go out. So I mean that there was that negative impact, but it did allow more time to like write and I guess kind of like new inspiration in some areas.
But you got to have some enjoyment. It wasn't like The Shining, like you had to write all the time. And
No, I actually probably could have written more. You know what I really got into, and it was weird during the pandemic, was writing fan fiction for some of my favorite shows for like Archive of Our Own. Like I really loved doing that, and I don't know, it just made me happy. So I was like, the world's on fire. I'm gonna work on this. I probably should be working on my like original stuff, but I want to do this right now. So um but no, it definitely was not like The Shining at all. So
that'd be bad if you were typing and Kyle came in and like
yeah. Which
back
okay, so
later.
funny aside like Shining reference. In my like day job at historic sites, we have a one room schoolhouse, and I have to test the quill pens every now and then before we have a school group to make sure they're working.
Yeah.
So like when I have to test the quill pens, I will sit down and write like all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Like that's what I'll write over and over on the page.
And you have a tour. I'm not done yet.
I'm not finished.
We'll come back later. Um, so, um, did you always want to be an author and a playwright? Was that always the goal of yours?
um Yeah, author definitely since like sixth grade. I kind of like sat down and wrote my first book between sixth and seventh grade. That one's still not published yet. I kind of grew up with that book, so it needs a little more editing before I get to where I want it to be. But that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I really like writing, so I'm gonna keep doing this. Um, and I've done like a lot of short stories and poems. I didn't get my first novel published till, ooh goodness, I think it was 2018. Um, so but no, I knew I always wanted to do that. And then when I got into college, I took a playwriting course and was like, I really like this. I like theater. I also want to write for the theater. um, and I'm really lucky that in the job I have, my day job, I do get to write because I get to research and write historical plays, so I get to use my degrees. Yay.
Woot, 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 woot. It's not just sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just sitting there, I put it to use.
um, so, what is the best part of being an author for you?
um I really like creating worlds, like world building and putting characters in these worlds. You get really attached to them, and then like sometimes you have to like completely break them down and rip them apart and destroy them. But it's what's best for them in the end. So I love world building, and then I like people like reactions to the worlds I build, like what messages they take away from it. So I really like that too, especially when someone's like, this part really resonated with me and it kind of helped me with a tough situation I'm dealing with. That's like really gratifying and rewarding to hear that.
Okay, and you also have had a book come out. Let me go ahead and it's
Yeah.
called Comes in Threes. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's actually an ebook. That's came out earlier this year. So in year 2 of the plague. So and it's a collection of short stories. It's interesting. I tend to like when I write like plays or novels, they tend to have like happier endings. But if I do a short story, I don't know, it's like O. Henry or something. I'm just like, or a Allan Poe,
Dark.
like dark despair. I love a good dark short story. Um, so 2 of those stories were actually previously published in Haints and Hollers, which is a collection of ghost stories through Mountain Gap Books, of Appalachian-based ghost stories. But then another one in there, it's not a ghost story. It's just like a sad history-based story. But they all have to do with kids and different trials kids go through or different like things that happen to children. So that's kind of why it comes in threes, which I mean, you can kind of think about that old thing like, oh, lots of things comes in threes, like deaths and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a good read, especially this time of the year, because 2 of them are a little spooky intentionally. But I love a good hard hitting short story, so I was really excited to put those 3 stories together and get them out there.
Did you ever read the book? I think they were like correct me on the title, but weren't they scary stories after dark, and they were like horror short stories, and the book even got banned?
Yes. Okay. So yes, I did, and that book gave me nightmares. My mom had to take the book out of our house because I was sneak reading it at night and giving myself nightmares.
Oh,
Like
no.
I couldn't put it down. Yeah, because I like being spooked. I like writing spooky stories, and I like being spooked. But I'm also really prone to like really freaking myself out. So it's like it's why I choose to watch horror movies like at 2 a.m. when I'm all alone in my house, and then I'm like, why did you do this to yourself? But I keep doing it. I don't know. It's like I like kind of that feeling, and then I don't. It's weird.
Yeah. Do you do the double take or something? Like you watch a horror movie and then you hear something, you're like, wait a minute, where's that?
Yes.
Where'd
No,
it come
what was
from?
that? What was that? Yeah. Yeah. What was it? The the movie. Gosh, I think it was The Happening. That Shyamalan movie.
Oh yeah.
With with the trees are doing the bad stuff, as revenge. But like I got home from the movie theater that night and we had this big old tree in my front yard at the time, and this huge gust of wind came by,
Oh
and that
no.
tree just went crazy, and I like literally ran inside my house and I was like, I love trees, I'm sorry, don't kill me.
I had you remember Final Destination and Final Destination 2 with the car crash and how that so I was driving on the interstate and there was a truck in front of me and it had rock and asphalt and the rock piece fell off and I hit my car and windshield and then and like when you watch that movie, like something's starting to fall. So, the fact that like these rock pieces, and I go, no, I'm not ready to go. I don't know the design of death. I'm not causing it and everything. And I just like pulled off to the side of the road, and like,
Yeah.
it was only like a couple pieces, but I was like so freaked out that, it was like my design. I go, take that other car over there, not me.
Yeah, no, totally. I like still have like problems with like logging trucks. If I like get behind a logging truck, I'm like, nope, no, we're not doing this today.
It's exactly what it was. It was a rock truck, and it hit my hood and windshield, and it bounced off my hood and went back. And like
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the sign, and like I'm looking at all the cars, and my eyes are like really big and everything like that. And I'm just like, I need to get off, and like I'm on the interstate, and you just see me go.
Yeah, no, that would be terrifying. So yeah, no, I watched the first 2 Final Destination movies and I was like, I'm good because yeah, I can come up with all kinds of crazy ways to die on my own. I don't need Hollywood showing them to me. I'm a writer; they're in my brain anyhow.
I have my own creativity. All right, it's copyrighted.
Yeah.
So tell me what it was like because I know you went to Mars Hill University, and tell me what it was like within college, like the training, the learning, and everything preparing you to go into that next step when you graduated and pursue what you wanted to do and become an author.
Yeah. Well, at Mars Hill, I had my major was history and theater, which I was really into theater, especially Mars Hill. I mean, we worked the summer stock theater together. That's how we
Oh,
met.
yeah.
So I toyed for a minute with actually going off and becoming a professional stage manager, but it wasn't exactly in the cards, and that's okay. But I was writing that whole time. I had some pieces published in the local school magazine. I had an English minor. So, I had all these interests coming out of college. It was just kind of deciding which one do I land on. And at the time, it just made sense for me to come back to Tennessee and go to East Tennessee State University and get my master's in history. Because I was thinking, well, maybe I want to teach. Maybe I want to teach history. I got into history real quick and realized that while I like history, I am not suited for the academic classroom. That's not my jam. But what I really like is public history. I like going out and working in museums and being in the field and engaging people in that way with history. So ETSU did have a couple public history courses. They actually have a program now where you can get that degree, but not when I was there. So my master's in American history. But it was kind of understood that that's what I wanted to do. And then in the midst of getting my master's in history, I decided, you know what? I really want to be a playwright. So I started going to Hollins University in the summers and getting my Master of Fine Arts in playwriting. I don't recommend doing 2 degrees at once. I mean, I finished it, but I don't recommend doing 2 degrees at once. Maybe finish one and then start the other one. Life hack. But I, through my work, I got really lucky because through my job with the Heritage Alliance, I had a boss who challenged me, and she knew I wanted to write. So she gave me my first sort of topic. We had this information about a family that was traveling through Jonesboro in the 1850s. It was in a travelogue. It was an 1850s travelogue. And the women decided they liked Jonesboro so much that they stayed. The men went on and had an adventure on Roan Mountain. And she asked me, well, Anne, what did the women do while they were in Jonesboro? So I created a one-woman show that answered that question. And, since then, we do museum theater pieces every year. So I'm just really fortunate, that I did have good training. And then also I had people who are willing to take a chance on me. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. Is there a certain thing, since you're coming into the month of October and Halloween, is there a certain play or certain part of history that you enjoy around this spooky time of year?
I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. I always get super excited about it every year. Pandemic or no pandemic, I'm going to celebrate in some way or other.
Yeah.
Even just to get the cats.
This is
but yeah, exactly. Dress them up. No, I've never tried to dress them up. They'd kill me. But we do a cemetery play every year called A Spot on the Hill. We weren't able to do it last year because of the pandemic, but we are doing it this year. It's outside, where people, gather in our historic cemetery, and we have actors share the stories of the people buried there. And we've been doing it since 2014. It's one of my favorite things we do. There's just something about being in that sacred space in the fall. It's just very calming and beautiful. And people love it. I mean, we do the show at sunset. People are there for it. It usually sells out. So I'm always excited about getting together and doing A Spot on the Hill.
That's awesome. Yeah, let us know about that. And, if there's anything where if anybody's in the area, please attend. Or I don't know if they're doing it virtually at all, if people can't attend.
No, it's hard because it's in the cemetery and there's not a lot of access to electricity. We got more into the virtual last year. But with some things, it's still hard. Now we did film because I couldn't do the play last year. I did take scenes from the play and film them in the cemetery. And those series of videos are on the Chester Inn Museum's YouTube page, which is where we put all of our videos for work.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely look forward to sharing anything of that nature, and definitely have fun with that when that event takes place. So I know also with Halloween, you said that you like horror. Is there like a top 5 of horror movies that you enjoy?
I like smart horror. I don't like slasher films. I don't like sloppy horror movies. I like smart horror, like ones that I'm really gonna think about after the fact.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite one is a foreign language film. It's The Orphanage.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, but it's like definitely one you have to pay attention to. I mean, not only because it's got subtitles, but just because it's a really like smart movie. But it's a brilliant movie, and it's like the only horror movie I've ever seen where I cried at the ending because the
Oh
ending is so
wow.
beautiful. Like it's just such a catharsis. Um, but also there's like a thing in the movie that like the creepy children do that sometimes my spouse will do in the middle of the night, which I don't appreciate. So it is a horror movie, yeah. Gosh, top 5. I do like Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. That's a good movie. An old school one that I only saw once in like middle school, but it kind of stuck with me was The Changeling.
I've heard of
And
it. Yes.
yeah, not the Angelina Jolie version that came
Yeah.
out here recently, thing. It's an actual horror movie. The Changeling, I like that. Um, it's not horror movies, but we've really liked that The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor that Netflix did the last 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Those were really, really smart shows. So we really enjoyed those. And I enjoyed seeing, like the hidden ghost and everything and trying to figure that out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
My top are Nightmare Before Christmas, the
That's a
Halloween
good one.
Christmas movie.
Yeah. Oh, Hocus Pocus. I mean, it's not really a horror
Yes.
movie, but I love Hocus Pocus. Like
Yeah.
I would watch that movie every day, all day. So
That's up there. Hocus Pocus. I like 13 Ghosts with Matthew Lillard and Tony Shalhoub.
hmm
I think that's a really good one. And then I always enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street because Robert Englund is so good at being cheesy.
yeah, no, the one I really like in that series is like the one where like the actors play themselves and then they have to go in as the characters,
Oh
like when
yeah,
they're
the Dream Warriors.
taken,
Yeah,
like A New Nightmare or something. Yeah, like I like that one in that series a lot.
there's in the Dream Warriors where the guy wishes to be like a wizard and it's like a Harry Potter knockoff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, and I'm just like, did not expect that to last long.
Nope.
I did get to see Robert Englund about a month ago.
Oh, cool.
Like a virtual signing. I didn't get to talk to him, but everybody he met, he did a classic Freddy line.
Yeah.
So, he's a good
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, he did like that character so great and iconic. So,
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And then I always like Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis.
I do enjoy the original Halloween. Like I think that's a really well paced movie too. Sometimes on like Halloween, I will actually like watch just Halloween. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this movie. So yeah.
But I like when he goes in the closet and he's looking for her, and just when she's like looking through the sheets, and
Yeah.
it just builds and builds.
Yeah, it has such a good build. Yeah, that's what I like in my horror movies. I like a good build. Yeah.
not a crappy build.
No, not like a letdown or like it's all like so intense from the start. Like I can't hang in there. But if you're gonna build the tension well, then I'm there for that.
Was there a movie that scared you, like a horror movie that freaked you out when you were growing up?
When I was little, okay, yes, okay, funny. It was Ernest Scared Stupid. Yeah. So I was a big Ernest fan, and my mom took me to see Ernest Scared Stupid in theaters. I have since watched it as an adult and was like, that's really not scary. But as a kid, it really bothered me that the kids were being kidnapped and like turned into like idols or something.
Yeah,
and I started crying in the theater, just crying. My mom's like, what's wrong? And I like couldn't explain it to her, but I was just like really bothered by it. So I'm just like sobbing, and she had to take me out of the theater, and she's like, do you want to go back in there? And I was like, no. So I was an adult. Yeah, I was an adult until like years later. I watched Ernest Scared Stupid, and I was like, I don't know why I freaked out so bad, but I did.
Mine was Child's Play.
Okay, yeah.
My sister had a doll, and she used to turn it on in the middle of the night, and she would tell me that it would get me, and the same one in the movie. So I was
Yeah. See,
freaked out.
that would have freaked me out as a kid too. Yeah, that would have freaked me out.
I think one of my friends had My Buddy, and I go, I don't believe you're the My Buddy at all. You're gonna change.
Yeah, that would have freaked me out too.
Yeah. It freaked me out so much that I went and I hit it with a wiffle baseball bat to protect myself.
Yeah, so.
Before we wrap up, anything else you want to plug, promote?
If you go to my Facebook page or my author page, Angie Fellers Mason, author.com, it's a WordPress site. It has my titles. My full-length novel is called The Summer Between. It's a fun, like, young adult story. So if you want to kick back and you're into young adult fiction, check it out. There's also, ebook versions available. Spooky time of year, so I'd suggest check out Haints and Hollers. Haints and Hollers, which is the ghost story collection I'm in. And then sometimes for October, I've done it the past couple years, there's really cool, like, little writing challenges for October for spooky stories. But, like, it's like you can only do like 140 characters or how much will fit on an Instagram screen. So I always try to do one of those a year and tell a spooky story that way, either through Instagram or Twitter. But I always post it on my Facebook page too. So I'll probably be looking for one of those to do again this year because I've enjoyed it the past 2 years.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'd like to thank Anne for being my guest on the show. Dan-A-Plooza will be back September 17th with 5 new guests. So everyone take care. Have a good night.
Bye.